everyone. It's Rosalind here. So, you know what that means. That means it's time for Real Talk Now. Mothers and daughters bridging the gap. You held my heart in yours since the beginning, and yours I held in mine, beating in unison, beats creating time. Moments to memories, memories in line with the life I envisioned, the vision I longed to find. My being, holding you, growing you, knowing you from the inside, showing you, exposing you to what love is really like. I love you through the deepest part of me. You are a part of me. You are my heart. You are the heart of me. My heart pumping life into your veins, my lungs, your breath, my womb to rest. I'll protect you. I am your comfort, and forever will I be. Mommy for you, daughter for me. Perfection in a match. We just fit. Puzzle to a piece. Yes, peace. Because you are my peace. Peace of perfection wrapped up within you. Peace of reflection within myself and within you. Coursing through you, my love. I love, you love, we love on a level which no one else can reach. A bond of such a strength, so strong that I can never be weak within you. I am yours to always come to always run to. Life can never undo the bond I have with you. You have me. I get you. Forever my heart, forever my baby. Mommy loves you. A mother's love. Now, family, the words we were blessed to hear speaks to the bond and the love that is shared between mothers and daughters. This bond, this bond is beautiful. This bond is pure, and it is not surfaced. It's not a surface level bond, and this bond cannot be broken by man, even when our moms are no longer with us. Today, we will discuss how mothers and daughters have and must continue to bridge the gap in order to partake in one of the most beautiful relationships we will ever experience. My guests tonight are Ranada Sims, Stepheni Hardy, and Raven Utley. Ladies, I please ask you to unmute yourself and to introduce yourself to the family. Amen. Whoever wants
Well,
to
I'll
go
go
first.
first. I'm at the top. My name is Ranada Sims. I am the youngest daughter of the late great Debbie Renee Sims. Um, I am from Florida. We're originally from Michigan, where we were born and raised. And it is coming up on my mother's first year of her passing. And I am very honored to be able to be here and share some words on how she has impacted my life.
Amen.
My name is Stepheni Hardy. I am the eldest daughter of Debbie Renee, and I too am in Florida, originally from Michigan. And yeah, ditto what my sister said.
I am Raven. I am the daughter of Rosalind here. the oldest. And I live in Philadelphia currently by way of Virginia, by way of Dallas, Texas. Go Cowboys.
So much, so many travels we have here from Michigan to Florida to Philadelphia to Dallas to North Carolina to Virginia. We are well seasoned, aren't we, ladies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to talk about mothers and daughters and some of those gems because I'm sure, because I knew Debbie Sims very well, and I'm sure she passed down a lot of gems. And I would like to think that maybe, just maybe, that I may have passed a few along the way as well. So we will see now, won't we? Okay, so let's have a little discussion. So, moms and her gems on marriage. I'm sure we've had that conversation many times. Tell me about that. Some of them gems that you all have. Raven, I'm going to start with you, then on Ranada, and then Stepheni. And I say Stepheni because you being the eldest, you may can go back a little bit further, but okay. So, Raven, I want to start with you.
You've given me a lot of gems when it comes to marriage, and I am not by any means trying to offend anyone out there. But I think the biggest one, and I hope my dad not listening in the background, but the biggest one is that sometimes with men, you have to let them think that they're in charge, and let them think that they're in charge, and that we're a little bit smarter than them. Just a smidge, not a lot, just a little bit, just a little bit.
All right, let's keep it moving, ladies.
So I guess that would be me. The two things that I learned that kind of stick more out into my head is one, that my parents made it a point to choose each other every day. And that was really influential because the moment you decide that you're not going to put in the effort anymore, it's done for. So they made a conscious effort in whatever they were going through, whether it was good or bad, to make sure that they chose each other every day. And it just kind of goes to show you that 40 years later, they still had to wake up every day and choose, like, okay, I'm gonna ride out one more day with you. So I appreciated that, Jim, just to kind of keep going and let it all be worth it. The only other one of the other things that really stuck out to me, my mom always had this thing about being the type of wife that God called her to be, in spite of the type of husband that my dad was in whatever point in time, whether that's he's being a great husband or whether they're going through some challenges. She always wanted to make sure that she was being the woman that God wanted her to be first. And if she was being the wife that God wanted her to be, then kind of all of those other things would fall in line. So it just kind of puts a lot of the personal responsibility on whether relationships kind of fail or not on yourself.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Let's keep going, Stepheni.
I would say the thing, well, Renata kind of touched on one of the things that, well, actually both of the things, that she was very, I guess, repetitive about those two things that Renata mentioned, as well as making sure that you guys are on the same page as far as certain things in your relationship. So, for example, making sure that you guys are on the same page when it comes to your faith and things like that. Make sure you're equally yoked. So that was a big thing. One of the things that I remember that my parents were always consistent about was the equally yoked thing. They were very consistent about that. And so that, I mean, along with the things that my sister mentioned, that would be something else, making sure you guys are both on the same page when it comes to everything, because if you're not, there's going to be issues.
Ooh, that is right. That's right. All those things right there, I can relate to equally your yoke. And I don't. I know Raven said that I taught her. I told her that it's not that they're not as smart. I don't know. We're different. Men and women are just different. And that's one thing I think we should remember, that because they are not us, they think differently than us. And we have to take that into account. Sometimes they don't know unless we communicate with them. Okay? Because, Raven, I see your face. I see your face. How they say, fix your face, right? But yeah, so they don't know. So communication is one of the key things there. And when I say communicate, not don't wait to start the communication once you're married. You start the communication before, in the midst, once you get engaged and decide you're going to marry, and through the marriage. Because I truly believe no one can understand, and this is the job of the one who's doing the communication, to make sure that that person is communicated to correctly. It's your job to do that. Okay? All right. All right. So facing or remembering our past. Okay? Now, sometimes when we don't face or remember our past, we can miss out on healing, okay? Sometimes people, they want to forget their past, and we want to forget our past and the things, well, let me change that. Sometimes we want to forget our past. And sometimes if we do forget that past, we fail to see a person's pain, and we only look at the surface, okay? If we do that, do you think that that may lead to us unintentionally judging someone at face value? What are some of the things that you've learned when it comes to that? I'm gonna change that around this time. Stephanie, I want you to start that one.
I think it's important to be as transparent as possible. I think one of the key things that I've gotten from my mom, that I realized in that I exhibit myself as well as my siblings, is that we're very transparent. Even with my dad, he was probably not as transparent as my mom, but for her, that was like her, what's the word I'm looking for? Her transparency was like her superpower.
Mm.
And she was very good at using her past and the things that she had been through as testimonies and to help other people. She was very good at her transparency being a light. And so I try to do that as well, just because one, it it takes a lot, like when you hold in, I've gone through things, I've been through things, and I mean, I have no problems talking to people about them. But you also have to work through that. You have to work through the things that you go through, and that's hard. Like, I'm in therapy now, trying to work through just the fact that I don't have my mother with me, and I lost my best friend and I'm heartbroken. And so working through that and helping myself, and doing things for myself, is hard. So, the key is to be transparent.
Yep.
And I feel like that is the biggest thing that I did learn from her.
Awesome. Okay. Let's keep it going. Renata, go ahead and you tell me your thoughts there.
I think one of the reasons why my mom was able to be so effective was just when you are aware that, like your life has not been a crystal stair, you know what I'm saying? You come with a certain level of compassion for people. And so not only was that transparency super important, her coming with a level of understanding really helped her to be an open door. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So like my mom was one of those people that like you could stand by her for 3 seconds and you just feel inclined to tell her your whole life. Like, this is a safe place. Like she could not even have said anything to you, but just everything that she gives off just says that she is this safe place. And so many people lack that safe place because we
Yep.
don't want to be vulnerable, or we don't want to admit to us not being the perfect Christians that we aspire to be. You know what I mean? And she always had this very awareness that everything that she went through in her life wasn't necessarily for her. You know what I mean? And we have to understand that all of the trials and the heartaches and the pains that we go through, like sometimes we're gonna go through things in our lives that have nothing to do with us. They're not for us to learn a lesson. They are literally for us to have something in the backpack, like Dora, that you can pull out at some point when someone needs it, and for you to be able to share that knowledge of how you got through, for you to be able to give somebody some hope that there's a tomorrow after the pain, after everything. Like there's still hope on the other side. Like people have gotten through it. I'm gonna tell you because I got through it, you know. And she was always willing to share. Like she had no cap on like this is just too personal to share. Like no, like my mom shared very uncomfortable things. But we need that level of comfort in yourself and willing to put yourself in an uncomfortable place in order to help somebody else through it. And so her having that, and I think that she did kind of pass that on to all of her kids, which is why my sister was like, we're all pretty transparent. We don't have very much that we won't talk about. You know what I mean? Like if we feel like it's gonna be for a help to someone, we will. And so it was just a beautiful thing that she shared that, and because of that she had all these people that gravitated towards her and felt like she was their best friend for life because she was a safe place. And that's a beautiful thing to have in the world, is somewhere in this, you know, earth of turmoil and chaos where there is a safe place for you to express your feelings, be who you are, talk about what you're going through without anybody side-eyeing you or judging you or making you feel less than. And she had that all day and all night.
Amen. Yeah, I agree. Raven?
That was a tough act to follow behind. But as far as like, I think the realization for me is now that I'm older and having like those conversations with you, and realize that you're not just my mom, but you were a woman, you were a teenager, you were a kid, you know what I mean? And getting to have these conversations as an adult about traumas and relationships and friendships and how to navigate that, has been super, super important, because it lets me know that you're multi-dimensional. You know, you're not just a wife or a sister or a cousin. Like there's so many different facets to you.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that we do show that vulnerability to our children, to let them know that we're not perfect. Because I think sometimes that's one of the injustices that we do. We show them who we are now. Once we ain't got a little shiny and clean, okay? But sometimes, like you said with Debbie, with myself, it took a lot to get to that point. You know, that wasn't overnight. And still striving to get a little cleaner. Because I ain't clean yet. I'm cleaner, but I ain't clean yet. Okay? So I appreciate y'all saying that, okay? The thing, okay, somebody was ready to say something?
Yeah. I was going to add to that. You know, is it's really important to share with your kids. And the reason why I say this is because I've encountered people who have done things or made choices in relationships or just in their life because they felt like their parents were a certain way, a certain image. So one of the things, you know, my brother, one of my brothers, him and his in his marriage, one of the things that he used to struggle with, him and his wife, was that she would say, well, my parents never argue, so I don't understand why we argue. But the reality is her parents did argue. They just wouldn't do it in front of the kids, or they wouldn't, her parents weren't affectionate. So she didn't think that her parents had any kind of physical relationship. And I'm like, ma'am, there's 5 of y'all. There's no way that your parents don't have a physical relationship. But because that was not observed, and because her parents didn't exhibit that. She didn't. So there are a lot of people who make choices based off of the example from their parents, but that's because they don't talk to their parents. They don't know who their parents are and what they've gone through. I am so grateful that my mom, once we got a certain age and once I got a certain age, she was like, okay, I'm not raising you anymore. Now we're both adults. So now our relationship needs to evolve. Let's talk. And our relation, that's why I can say, this lady was like my soulmate. She was my best friend because like we were super close. There's nothing that I couldn't talk to her about. And she was one of my best friends. So I feel it's really important for parents to be transparent and to talk to their kids and to explain. You don't have to give the nitty gritty, but it's important to that is you can't just say do as I say, not as I do, because it builds up this false sense of a picture of you and how life should be, and then people are not able to handle situations when their lives don't look like that, and they go through things that they never experienced their parents going through.
Yeah. And Debbie and I grew up in a time, and I'm sure I don't even know she told you this, but I'm almost sure she told you this. Our parents didn't talk to us. They didn't talk to us. So those a lot of those mistakes that we made. So what we tried to do is make sure, I'm going to talk to my girls. I'm going to talk to my sons to make sure, like you said, because we didn't want you all to learn something in the streets. We wanted you to learn it in the home. Because I used to tell Raven all the time, don't go to the blind leading the blind. Don't go to your friends, okay? Because your friends are most likely going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you what you need to hear, even if sometimes that's a little painful. Because I'd rather you have the pain with me and I can cradle you, and then you have the pain out there and you're on your own. Okay, so yes, I appreciate that. Okay, God can and will truly fix it all. Ranada, I want you to personalize that to you. I want you to finish that sentence right there.
Josh, you're gonna have me preach up in there because let me tell you something. Right now, my mom's favorite scripture was all things work together for the good. And that is literally, I'm at this point, I am convinced that that is the answer to every question, every problem, every conundrum. All things work together for the good. And it goes so deep when you think about it. That's all good things work together for the good, all bad things work together for the good, all hard things, all difficult things, all things that you don't want, all everything. They all work together for your good. And
Right.
so when you think about it in that type of manner, I just I was talking to my mom earlier today because I talk to my mom all the time. Her and God, like I literally just talk to them randomly, like they're just here with me. And so I was just talking to her about a decision that I was making because one of the things with my mom is that I've realized after she passed that I have never made a decision without her. I have never made a decision without running it by her and getting her feedback. She never told me what to do, but she always had this beautiful way of giving me the confidence to do what I already knew I needed to do. But when she was not here to give me that boost of confidence, I realized that I feel very lost without her confidence behind me. Very lost. So I went through a phase where I'm very insecure of all the decisions that I make, big or small. And so all things working together for the good, I was praying and I was just like, I got this decision that I need to make, and I don't know that I'm making the right decision. And I just, I'm at a loss. I make the decision and then I back out, and then I pray about it, and then I worry about it, and then I pray about it some more, and then I'd be like, Lord, I still don't know what I'm doing, you know. And so I was sitting in the car and I was talking to her about it, and it was just all things work together for the good. All things work together for the good. All things work together for the good. And I was like, "Mom, I'm making the wrong decision. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm making the right decision. Like, I think I might be making the wrong decision. What am I doing?" And it made me think about the fact that whether, even if you are making the wrong decision, even if you are doing, like, you're listening to the wrong voice and that's not what God wanted you to do, if you think about the fact that all things work together for the good, that means God will take that thing that you did, that you made the wrong decision, fix you back on the path that you were supposed to be, and make that same wrong decision still some type of way work out to your good, and it be right back to where the decision you were supposed to make anyway. I was like, Jesus, you gonna fix it like that? Okay, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was just so much of her spirit just like still calms me in a totally different way than what it did before. So, like, as to where now I cannot hear her actual voice telling me that all things will work together for my good. The lessons are there. And so when I get in those spots, I remember that all things are going to work together for my good. And God will make all those things, my wrong things, my right things, my bad things, my good things. He's still going to make it all work to my good. So it's just my job to do the best that I can and try and make the best decisions that I can, because God is going to work it out anyway. I was like,
You
Debbie
know
Renee, why are
what?
you speaking to me, girl?
Somebody is here. Was a fan of Debbie Sims, Rosalind Larry. She said, "Girl, that's a good Debbie analysis." Okay, this is somebody else that know your mom. They do your mom, so she's like, because it sounds just like something she would say, and that you can still clearly hear her
Yeah.
saying these things. That's the goal right there. That was her goal, so that whenever she left you, you're going to still hear her voice in your head. Not that you're crazy, but she want to make sure you still heard that voice in her head, in your head. You
Yeah.
know, that's beautiful. Anybody else want to? I know she kind of hit that out of the park, but did y'all want to add something there? Okay, yeah, I hear
I
you.
had to do the poetry slam snap on that one when she was talking. Yeah, I had to do that.
That was good. Okay, because the thing is that life is a great humbler, a very great humbler. We're high today and we're down tomorrow, aren't we? Stepheni, what do you think about that? I want you to give me some insight, some gems on that one, because that's such a true statement.
Um, I mean, yeah, that I would definitely say the the thing that I appreciate about how I was raised and the relationship that I had with my mother was it kind of I have that foundation, that spiritual foundation. So at times where things get you down, because look, let me tell you, me and my sister was talking the other day, and I was just like, just when we're doing good, something happens. And something happens. And I mean, so it's just one of those things where I'm just grateful that I have that spiritual, that faith background because or foundation because I know that even in times when I'm weak, even in times when I'm down, I know that God still has my back. And I know that I still need to hold on to his hand. So even though, like after my mom passed, I was very angry. Actually, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm probably trying to recover of this anger over the last, maybe few weeks or so. But like I was really angry and just very scared. Like Renata mentioned, I had never been without her. So for me, I talked to her about everything, and I don't know that I've ever made a decision without her either. So it's just an unusual thing to not have her there physically. I hear her in my voice every day. Hey, Chicky. and I already know everything's gonna be good. Let me tell her what's going on. So it's just I yeah. So for me, I'm just glad that I have that foundation. I'm glad that I was raised with that because that's my fallback. When things are going bad, I can fall back. When things are going good, I know Romans 8:28. No matter what decision I make, no matter how, I could be like, Lord, how I'm feeling today. Sometimes even now I've learned that it's okay to just be like, Lord, like this, like I need to pray, Lord. And that's all I can say because I literally have no words. So yeah, I would say my thing that I appreciate from my mom because she didn't waver in her faith. Like my mom didn't waver. She stayed strong. Like even we talk about the things that she went through over the last few years, you know, this lady was still encouraging, supporting emotionally, physically, spiritually, tons of people in the midst of a re-diagnosed, like a reemergence of her cancer, and it's worse, like 10 times worse. The physical pain that she was in for the last year and a half, or for the year and a half after her diagnosis, all the and she's still supporting people. She's still positive. She's still supporting us. Because trust me, we realized after she was not physically here anymore, we very much realized that she was literally the center of all of our worlds, our whole family. She was our center. Like we literally had to be, we were like, wait a minute, Jesus. Okay, so we got to learn daddy because our intercessor for daddy is not here anymore. We can't be like, Mom, daddy's tripping. We don't know what's going on. And she'd be like, well, your daddy, this is what he means and this is what's going on. And then daddy will be like, the kids, I don't understand. And she'd be like, babe, this is what is going on with this kid. This is what's going on with that. So like we didn't have that. So learn, we had to learn how to talk to our father, have that relationship with our father. And he had to learn how to have a relationship with us. It was just so many things that changed. But the thing that I'm consistent with is no matter how I feel, no matter how I grieve, no matter how much I miss her, no matter how much I'm like, you know, I realized that she still stayed faithful. So I can't deviate. I can't not be faithful because I didn't go through half the things that she went through in her life. I can't deviate. I don't have a reason to. So yeah, that foundation, it's important. It's super important.
Yeah, that foundation is important. And one thing we talked about is that we taught you all how to live with us. It was important at a point, and Raven and I have had this conversation too. Now is the time, and that was what Debbie was doing too, to teach you all to live without us and let you know that you can. Not to say you won't miss, not to say it's not hard, but to keep letting you know you can do it because that's the first line of defense right there. Once you get that foundation right, you will still grieve, but you have a comforter that's going to help you through that grief. All the crying, all the tears, all the questions. She taught you all that, Raven. We've taught you that you still have that first line of defense. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Anyone want to add anything there? Someone put that Debbie was a true soldier and I am a recipient of her strength. You all are blessed and we were blessed as well. True, true state. Your mom touched so many people, and if she did it effortlessly, I was like, girl, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
So I want to give an example and I'll be quick. I was at, so one of my homegirls, she got married. Well, technically her and her husband got married last year, but they had their wedding this year. And one of her friends, she met in Alabama at the events that they used to throw like 15 years ago or something. So she met her friend, I forget his name, but she met him in Alabama. They've been friends all this time. He was at the wedding. I've met him before. And so, because I've been friends with her for over 10 years now. So he was at the wedding, and him and his new girlfriend were sitting at my table with me at the wedding this year. And like we got to talking, and she was just like, you seem familiar. Now, I don't know this lady. I don't know this lady at all. Never met her. This is the first time I'm meeting this lady. She said, you seem familiar. And I was just like, oh, yeah, my parents were very active in the church and in the brotherhood, stuff like that. And she was like, who's your dad? And I was like, oh, his name is, he's Randy Sims. He's a minister in Rockledge. Blah, blah, blah. She was like, oh, okay. Who's your mom? And I was just like, my mom was Debbie Sims, and she was like, oh my God, we were on a prayer call with your mom. That's how we met, because your mom had mentioned something about this group for singles or this or that. And I got on this prayer call, and I loved any prayer call that your mom was on. I would get on, even if it was early in the morning. And your mom was just so amazing. And she's just going through all this stuff, or all these ways on how my mom impacted her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know this lady from nobody, but she felt like she knew my mom, like they were best friends. And it's just amazing. Like, I can go anywhere and people would be like, who's your mom? Debbie Sims. Oh my God, we love Debbie. So yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Anybody else want to add anything there, and before we go to the next one? All right, Miss Raven. Lead by example, not lead by control. For example, if I try to teach you, I am going to do it with you. Finish that for me.
Well, for me personally, if I'm speaking about you, right? I feel like you've
If
always
you like.
if I'm speaking about you, I feel like you've always done that. Just because you've always been a constant in my life, I think of every milestone and you've been there. If we're talking education wise, you gave me the blueprint of, you go to school, you do what you have to do, you choose a career that you want to do, and you do your best to excel in that. When we talk about relationships, you've taught me, and I'm still learning. I know I'm a little hard-headed, that sometimes or oftentimes you have to look at it from the other person's point of view and not just your own. And that sometimes it is important to take the emotion out of it, which is so hard because as women, as humans, we feel, and sometimes we feel deeply, or sometimes we don't feel at all. If we're talking about Christianity and what it means to be a Christian, you're always telling me, did you pray? Did you go to church? Did you read your Bible? Now, I'm not going to bring it up again, but did you go to church? You know what I mean? So just constantly keeping it in my head of like what we were talking about, what the foundation is.
Yeah.
And then if we talk about, it's so many different aspects. If we talk about being a woman, I'm not perfect. I like to think that I am, but I'm not. So you've always led by example, but you've never said, do as I say, not as I do. Because I feel like that would be hypocritical, But yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, one reason I probably didn't say it because it was said to me so many times. I like to be like, what does that really mean? Okay. You have your parents telling you to do something and they're not doing it. I'm like, but you're not doing it. So, and that's even as a minister's wife. One thing I try hard not to, I can't, and your mom taught me this too. I'll handicap people, she said. I'll handicap them. She was like, I'm going to teach you, and that's what we have to do because, again, you're not going to always have someone there to hold your hand. And if you want to ask someone to help you, do it because You want to, not because you must. Okay? And it's okay to have help, but you don't have to have help. But it is a good idea to accept the help when you do have it. We can't do it all. We're not perfect. And just because someone does something differently from you, don't mean the way that they're doing it is wrong. You're Raven laughing at me. Raven, look at Renata. They just have the different way of doing it, as long as we get the right results or the desired results. That's not easy because we want it done our way, don't we? But it ain't gonna. Yeah, for Stephanie, you hadn't even do the smile. You know what? I feel all three of y'all because all three of y'all are leaders. So I get you. Okay, you're me when I was younger and not that long ago. And I don't mean by age wise. No, not age wise. I'm talking about in learning a few more things in life. That's what I mean. Raven, don't try to tell my age, girl.
Well, I think it speaks to effectiveness. Like we have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. So like when you think about leading by example, you want to lead by example because you're looking for a desired effect.
Yep.
So Jesus did that when he came down to show us how to live life. And he also placed other people in the Bible. You have Paul, who was resurrected from a totally different life. He showed so many ways of people, leading by example. It's very hard to be effective as a leader or trying to get someone to do something if you show that you're incapable of doing it.
That's right.
You can't tell me not to raise my voice, but every time we talk, you raise your voice to me because you're showing me that what you're asking for isn't even possible because you can't do it. And so, how can you ask someone to do something that you can't do?
That's right.
How about you learn how to do it and then you come teach me how to do it? You know what I'm saying? And then you can, there's an importance of being a leader, true leader, versus being someone who dictates and spits out rules. People respect people who are in the trenches with them, who says, we are going to do this and I'm in it with you, versus someone who tells you what to do but then doesn't back it themselves. You look
Yeah.
crazy. You know what I'm saying? And like you're normally probably not going to be effective.
Yeah.
And you're not really, that's not real leadership. Leadership is such a sacrificial role, and people don't like to give it the level of sacrifice that it actually requires. Like people glorify, especially like in relationships, people really glorify this, like, I want to be a leader. And it really, the job sucks. Like, if you really look at the job sucks, big dog. I don't really think that this is what you really want. Like, to really be a leader means I am going to put what is best for the people that I am leading above myself, above what I think would be best. I have to look at it from the standpoint of, yep, this is a good idea and this is an effective idea. But per the people that I'm leading, this is going to be 10 times harder for them to do it this way than it would for them to do it this way. Even
That's
though I
right.
know that the way that here is 10 times faster. But in order to make it easy on the people that I'm leading, considering them above myself, I have to do it this way. That's
right.
leadership.
That's
That's
humbling.
what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Humbling.
it's hard to do that. And we don't
Yeah.
always give it enough credit. But my mom was very insistent on that. Like, I'm gonna show you how. Here, this is the type of wife that you should be. Let me show you how to. You know what I'm saying? Like, here, see this, view this. This is the type of, my mom had us sitting in on all those ladies' meetings, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm sitting there like, I'm about to DDT somebody. And she's just like, taking it, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, I'm going to still be what God expects me to be. I'm going to handle myself in this moment the way God expects me to be. And so now when I find myself in those situations, I'm like, let me contain my crazy, okay? Let me put away these hands that I love to disperse. And I'm going to be what God wants me to be in this moment because I saw examples that it's possible to do it because Debbie Renee did it.
Yes.
So
that's right. An effective or comfortable leader is also an effective and comfortable follower. Okay? And someone put in the chat, your audio has to match your video. I like that. I like that. Okay. Good comments, ladies. Okay. So people sometimes forget our moms are human. And this kind of goes back a little what we hit on before, and also fall and get back up. How did she show you how to do that? I know you said she did it. Raven, I know you said I did it. How did they show you all how to do that? Renata, I want to start with you.
Ugh, child, you gonna make me cry again. So, my mom and my parents together collectively, there were things that I went through in my life that my parents did not allow. They didn't want me to look at myself differently. They didn't want me to lose my value because of some of the things that had happened. Like when I got pregnant with Randy very young, I was 17 when I gave birth to my first daughter. Like I wasn't even out of high school yet. Like my daughter was at my graduation, like not in my belly, like there, sitting up in her own head there. You know what I'm saying? She was in amongst the number. And one of the things was is that my mom and dad were always very insistent on, just because you went through this and just because this is not define who you are for the rest of your life. You are not defined by this one act of, then this just the bubble that you're in for forever. My mom was very honest about the things that she had done in her past. She was like, guess what, I got kids that are this age, this age, and this age. I got married at this age. You do the math, you know what I'm saying? Like this stuff that it doesn't equal. And so she was very insistent about, like, look, you have the opportunity to choose where you go from here, right? Like no one can tell you that you don't have value because of what happened to you. You don't put that on yourself that you no longer have value. You have to continue to push forward because every day is a new day. She was like, if you decide today that you're going to be the woman of God that he's called you to be, as of today, you are that woman. We had this talk, and it was so random. We had this talk about Paul and why he was so influential. And he was just like, his whole life was turned around in 3 days. And in 3 days, he was no longer who he was before. God does not reference him as anything that was before, after that point.
That's right.
So Paul didn't forget where he was from, and he used that and he let that propel him forward. But God never, he was never referenced in from by Jesus or anything like that by the person that he was before. He was a new person, and he got to walk in that every time after that. And so my mom was always very big on that. Like, you get to choose. If you decide today this is who you are, then that is who you are, and you walk in it. And nobody can tell you differently. And if they got something to say about you moving differently, tell them to come holler at me. Well, she didn't say come holler at me. She's like, you send them to me. And she said it with the whole Debbie Renee voice, like with the glasses, like, you send them my way. And so she never, she was very aware of her past and very aware that there were critical points to where if you're not supported properly, it can send you down very different paths. At that moment, if they had of let me wallow in that shame or let other people shame me or any of that, it could have literally changed the trajectory of my life. And I promise you I wouldn't be here right now today.
That's right.
But they shielded me from that. They didn't let nobody else treat me badly, and they didn't treat me badly. So
awesome. Yeah. Rava, you want to add something?
Honestly, I don't. I just want to just relish in that and what was just said, honestly.
Okay. Stepheni? You be doing the drop the mic things. Renata, after Renata spit, they like, you didn't say it. What am I saying now?
This is Debbie, and I'm like dang near about to preach the Debbie Renee chapter 1 verse 1 because I got 5 volumes,
Yeah, right. No, what I think what and I mean this is really just gonna add on to what Renata was saying. Um the thing that I respect and appreciated the most about my mother was that there she like she had rough times. She had challenging times, especially growing up. My mom did not have the ideal childhood. Like people, I mean, people, uh, they see her sunshine, they see her brightness, they see her light shining so bright, but her foundation, her growing up was not that at all. And so just the fact that she got to the point where she did, especially like for her faith, she didn't grow up in the church. So for her, that was something that she had to learn. She had to build, she had to grow, kind of like Paul, where one day she was doing this, the next day is some completely opposite. Now the Lord is using her.
Mm,
And so the thing with my mom was that she never let those things get to her, but she also, like, I appreciate being able to talk to her about those things. So my mom got pregnant with me when she was a teenager as well. And the way her life was going at the time, she felt unloved. She felt like she had nobody. And so she decided to become a mother. That was her thing. And
mm,
so I came to be because not because she was in love with my biological father or anything like that, but because she wanted to be a mother. And so we had that conversation as a teenager. I had the conversation with her on why, because I've gone through things with my biological father that I was just, at the time, I was like, oh, I wish I could have avoided this. And she was just like, you know, I was selfish. I wanted to be a mother. I knew
mm.
your biological father was not it. And I knew that it was going to be difficult, raising you with him in all his trauma and things like that. She was just like, I knew that that it was going to be a problem for us, but I wanted you so much more.
Mm.
I felt it was worth it. I
That's right.
apologize that you had to go through those things, but I felt that you were worth it. It was worth it. It was you were having you was worth more than it outweighed all the things that I knew we were going to go through, the struggles that I knew we were going to go through. All like it. So just that level of knowledge, she's already processed and gone through this situation, through this trauma, through this hurt, through this situation enough to where at 6, I think I was like 15 or 16, and we had this conversation
Yeah.
that she could say, I apologize to you, but this is why I did this, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
And so my mom was always that way. Like it was always those, if you talk to her, if you ask her about anything, she was gonna be blunt and honest with you. You won't get the real, like that's the thing that's funny because Renata talked about those meetings that my mom would we were always in ladies' meetings. There were many ladies meetings that my mom told me to leave because unlike my sister, she be trying to take her hands out, but my sister will keep her hands in. Me, I be standing up at the table and my mom be like, I need you to leave. So, but it's just those, I used to ask her all the time, especially since we are leaders, me and my siblings, I'm just like, Ma, that's not efficient. The way that you're doing it is not efficient. It's not efficient. It's not, because that's a big thing for me. And she's like, sometimes it's not about efficiency. As a leader, you're not always going to be able to be efficient. Sometimes as a leader, you're going to have to do double work.
That's
Sometimes
right.
as a leader, you're going to have to be slow because you're going to have people you're going to have to hold their hand. She was like, but you can't lose sight of the fact that the Lord is doing the same for you. He's
That's right.
holding your hand all the time. So how you impatient with this one with your one person because you got to hold their hand, but the Lord is holding your hand all the time.
That's right.
He's keeping you from falling on your butt all the time.
That's right.
Even with Jesus, he never it was never about being with the higher ups and being with the important people and being With Jesus, it was about being with people and meeting them at their level. But not just that, it was always about the example.
That's right.
Christ was always about that leading by example.
That's
So,
right.
it's just that was a similar type thing. And I appreciated that because there's so many things that I've gone through in so many situations, and just situations that I've encountered with other people where I've wanted to help and I could help, and I had the tools. I had the tools to do whatever it is that was needed for me to do.
It's beautiful.
You better preach, Sister Sims.
One thing too, you said something powerful. It's important as moms, we're not perfect. As we said that, but we're not perfect. But one of the most empowering things that you can do with your children is come back and say, what am I going to say, Raven? That you're what? I can't, you're muted, honey.
I'm gonna let you tell it.
That you're sorry, that they're sorry. You know how many times, how much that can bridge a gap, and how many times kids just want to hear that for them to begin their healing. And not just hear it because it's the thing to say, but to hear it because you truly mean, I'm sorry. Okay? And sometimes, even after we say we're sorry, we still have to have some healing that follows, which means not just you all, with us. Because it took us to a point to say, first of all, it wasn't easy to say, I'm sorry. But you still have to, because sometimes you have to have the healing that follows. Ranada, someone put in that they met your mom during your pregnancy. And that's how they connected, because her daughter was also pregnant at that time. And she told her right then, they're going to be okay. That's beautiful. Okay?
And she meant it.
Beautiful. Okay. So, what do you want? That final gem that you want to leave? I know there's so many more. There's so many more, I know. But what's that final one that you want to leave us with? Stepheni, Raven, Ranada. Ranada, I gotta have you go last. Go ahead, Stepheni.
I would say the thing that came to mind when I think about um everything that I've gone through, I've lived, like everything that my mom was, everything that she still is, even inside of me, inside of my siblings, is that consistency. I, that's probably the thing that if I had to sum it up, which is hard to, if I had to sum it up, it's the consistency. My mom was consistent, and she stayed consistent. If she believed in something, if it she stick my mom was always true to herself. She was true to herself as a young person, because me and my mom kind of grew up together. I mean, she was a teenager when she had me. So as a young person, I always saw my mom being true to herself.
Wow.
No matter what form of life that she was in, no matter what form of Debbie she was, because sometimes she was Debbie, sometimes she was Renee, because my mom grew up in the hood. So, you would never know it just because of how she held herself and carried herself. But my mom could be hood. Like, it's funny because people do things. So, for instance, right now, certain people around me and my sister, they'll go to my sister and they'll talk to her, but they won't approach me. And I think it's funny because between the two of us, she's probably the more well, I ain't gonna say the word I was gonna say, but she's probably the one that will whoop on you more than I would. Cause see, I look big and bad, but because I'm a tall, big lady, I don't usually have to take it there. I can,
That's
but
right.
I don't. I don't usually have to. But because my sister is more petite, she get tried. But funny, people think that she, especially in church, people think that she's nicer than me. So they come to her with more things and they leave me alone. But she is probably the one that's going to do something more than what I would. But
Mm-hmm.
people try it, and I look at them and I'm like, you guys try my mom. There would be so many times where they would try her, and I'm like, y'all just don't know. If this was the Renee of 20 years ago, baby, you would have been walking past, and you just don't know what you would have got.
Yeah.
But like it's the consistency. My mom was all, she stayed true to herself. I tell, one of the things that I told whenever I talk to my friends after she passed, the thing that I guess reverberated through me the most, especially at the end of her life, was she stayed faithful. I
Mm.
never, no matter all the stories in the Bible, all the examples, all the people I've been around, I've never seen someone literally stay true and faithful, not just to themselves, but to their faith until the end. Like, I've never seen it. I've never witnessed it before.
True.
And my mom,
Mm.
even at the end, even in hospice, this lady was faithful. Like, the hospice staff loved my mom. At the end, she could barely talk. She couldn't breathe. Like, her lungs had shut down. So her heart and all her other organs were like working overtime to compensate.
Mm-hmm.
So she literally is not talking. Literally, all she's doing is letting her light shine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's
Beautiful.
literally just letting her light shine. And she stayed faithful. And people learned. She literally was preaching and teaching people, and she literally didn't say a word. This is just her struggling to breathe, but this is literally just her presence
Yeah. It's
is
beautiful.
preaching and teaching to people, and it's literally just her presence, because physically she wasn't able to talk. She could, but it was just labor. So it was just the fact that she stayed faithful unto death. You hear that scripture all the time, Revelations 2:10, and we always are, it's always spoken to us the end of Revelations 2:10, but I've never witnessed it until my mom.
Amen.
And so when you have that example of this lady who's been such a freaking amazing example, such a phenomenal woman, I there this is when people say there's no words, like, I say this all the time, and I always used to tell her, I would stand up in church and be like, y'all, I just can't, I gotta, it's on my heart, I just gotta talk about how amazing my mom is, like, I just gotta talk, but there's really no words because she's just so freaking amazing. It, there's literally no words to express the impact, the just the impact on my life that this
Mm-hmm.
woman had. Like, I feel so blessed, so blessed, that as a lost young woman trying to find her way in this sometimes chaotic and ugly world, she decided, I'm going to have this child.
Mm-hmm.
I am here because of her. And then to reap all the things that she was, all the impact that she had on my life. I have siblings who have mothers that, and they're just like, we wish we wish our mom was like your mom,
Wow.
because just the stories you tell have such an impact on us. The stories you tell of your life have such an impact on us that we wish we had the mom that you had.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So oh gosh, I miss this lady every freaking day. Like, it's been almost a year, which is crazy because my birthday is Saturday.
Mm.
And this is my first birthday without her. This is gonna be my first birthday without her texting me at 7:38 in the morning, 7:28, my bad, 7:28, texting me happy birthday. I it's just weird. It's still surreal. Like I just can't believe it. But yeah, I mean, there's that lady. That lady. That's all I can say. That lady.
Wow. Wow. Raven, I know you're a little emotional. You want to add something there? I know
Um,
it's
yes. I think it's more, I know this is more so about like gems from our moms, but I think it's more so for me, a gem that I want to give to you. Like I know that you did the best that you could. I had a great childhood. I had a really great childhood. I know we talk about this all the time. I had a really great, like genuinely had a great childhood. You did, you let me do pretty much any sport, any dance, ballet, whatever, Girl Scouts, you were there. Tired, but you did it. I am who I am because of your prayers, because of your love, because of you just being you and taking everything, the hurt and the trauma from your life and showing me, basically just raising me on love versus survival, which is so important. It's so important. And I know to Stephenie's point, what she's saying, like a lot of people don't get to experience that. And I am truly thankful for that. Like I really, really, really am. And I'm proud of me of being able to do this without crying. I'm even more proud of that. And I'm just thankful. I'm like genuinely, I love you. Like I really do. Genuinely. All right, now, okay, now.
I
I'm
was
gonna
trying
stop.
to.
I'm gonna
Okay,
quit while I'm ahead. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead.
Renata, before you finish, Stepheni, did you say your mom texts you at 7:38 every birthday?
Yeah, so I was born, I said 38, but I meant 28. So I was born at 7:28 a.m. on October 7th. And
Wow. Mm-hmm.
every year except for last year, which last year she was on a decline. So but she still texts me. So I'm grateful for that. But yeah, 7:28 a.m. every year for as long as I can remember, as long as I have a cell phone, she would text me at 7:28 on my birthday to tell me happy birthday.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. Okay. All right, Miss Riri, go ahead.
Well, I was doing okay till my sister. And then Raven just added a little extra. So now I'm just sitting here like,
Trying to hold the tears.
um, one of the greatest gem, I just feel like everything about her life just gave me such a blueprint, right? Like I have so much real life experience that I can pull from her. Like if I want to know how to be a good mom, I can look back on her life and I can look at back at how she loved us so intentionally, how she created these safe spaces for us, how
Yeah.
she gave us this sense, her and my father gave us this sense of you put your faith and trust in things that you love, not things, but
Mm-hmm.
you can be happy in any state, in any place that I am, no matter what I have and don't have, I can be content. And that dictates so much of how I live my life. I live my life to truly be happy. She gave me that blueprint if I wanted to be a good mom, if she believed so heavily that God had placed something special in me. Do you know what it does to your life when you have someone who genuinely feels like there is something special inside of you? And that if you can just get out of your own way, if you can believe, if I could believe in myself with a quarter of the belief that Debbie Renee believed in me, I'm pretty sure I could rule the world. Pinky and the Brain style. Like she, one of the things that is so impactful to me, my dad said that she genuinely felt like I had a different type of calling and zeal when it came to my faith. And at the time that my dad told me that, I was like super close to being like, you know what, God, I'm not fooling with you no more. Okay, we done. Like you done did me bad too many times, and I can't do this with you no more. But my mom just always thought that like you can do. Have you ever had somebody tell you you could do something that you just didn't feel like you could do, but when they said it, you knew some type of way you could do it? Like that is what she put like way down inside of me. And I feel like God put it there and then he gave me her to cultivate that. So like for some reason it didn't unlock until she was gone, because I felt like my whole life I might have been using her faith in me as a crutch that I leaned on. But now I'm just like, man, she knew I had it in me, and I can't not live up to it because she was so convinced, you know what I'm saying? And I know she ain't never been wrong before. So I know she couldn't be wrong about me. She believed in me so purely. And I just want to be what God wants me to be, because she knew that that's what I could be anyway. And she gave me all these tools so that I could walk in it. And I can't not walk in it because I don't want to make Debbie Renee was never a liar, and I'll be daggone if I'm the one that make her that. I can't do it. I can't do it. She loved us so intensely and so purely, and she gave me all the courage and the feels, and I'm not gonna let her down. I'm not gonna let God down. So when I see her at them gates again, I could be like, hey, I'm rolling with you, big dog. Guess what I did while you was gone? You know what I'm saying? The kids are successful. I didn't mess it up. It came close, but I got them through. You know what I'm saying? Like I used everything that you taught me. I was the wife that you led the example of. My husband loved me. We had a beautiful family. Lord, y'all send up a quick prayer for my husband, because he's having a little problem finding me. Okay, I know he's on his way, but he got a little bit lost. The GPS, the satellites, and the moon, and Mercury is in retrograde, so he's just having a little problem finding me. So, but I get to tell her, I was this great wife because of what the example that you left, and because of your love, I fulfilled my purpose to God.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I'm just thankful.
And the thing is, what you all said was powerful. Everything you all said. And when you said that, Raven, I know you love me. It's still a difference, like they said, because I'm still here. Some of those things, the deepness of that, the real appreciation, even so much more, is because Debbie's no longer here, but she's left so much legacy. And someone said she passed the baton. Okay. And that's the goal too with Raven, with you. So those words you're speaking is a little harder to speak in the presence, because that spirit really speaks once they're no longer here. And like I say again, that doesn't mean you don't love me, because I know you do. Well, I know my baby's a big old baby too. She's so emotional right now. Look at her. So that was beautiful. The gems. I heard it from a parent who's still here, and for a parent who's no longer here in the spirit. No, in the physical. Sorry, because the spirit is still here. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. So, how can we get in touch with you all? Platforms, Facebook. Don't give your number, okay? But you can get the other stuff. Don't give the phone number.
Well, I mean, I am on Facebook, and I'm on IG as well. I'm not really a big poster, but if you message me, then I have no problems messaging back. But my last name is Hardy. It's not Sims. And then my name is spelled a little bit different. My first name.
Say it about your first name again so they can hear that stuff.
Oh, I just said that my first name is spelled different. So there's no A's, no E on the end. So if you're looking for me, don't put no A's in my name.
Okay. Y'all look how we have it spelled right there. We have it spelled for them. They can't see the name that's up there, but it's up there. Stepheni. Correct, Miss Stepheni?
Yes.
Okay. She schooled me on that, y'all, because I had it all wrong. I had the E and the A and the traditional way. And that's Debbie Sims again. You see that? She had to do something different, didn't she? You know what I mean?
Always.
Raven, Raven, how can we get in touch with you? You on Facebook, IG, and YouTube? Where you at?
All and none at the same time.
She said all and none.
So my Facebook, I had to change my name because I'm a social worker, and of course, a lot of my clients and stuff are on social media. So the best way to reach me is my email, which is ravenhutley@yahoo.com. Just take out the apostrophe.
For privacy's sake, y'all, she can't give you her tag, so that's what she means. Like you said, because of her job. And if she give it to you, she'll have to kill you. So she can't give it to you, okay?
Right.
We say top secret stuff here, okay? Ranada, how can we get in touch with you?
I'm an old lady. I'm still on Facebook. Ranada Sims at Facebook. I'm trying very hard to, I know that my calling is to share. I don't know exactly what that looks like right now. But I am trying to walk in that purpose. I'm trying to shift and break some of the generational types of traditions that we have, especially within the church and just within our families and how we treat each other. I'm just trying to teach us how to step out of a place of discipline and lean more into a place of love, because I feel like that's really what God called us to do in the first place. And some kind of way we got all off and decided that discipline was the way to go when it's really love should be led first. But so you can find me on Facebook, Ranada Sims at Facebook. I have an Instagram. My name is short stack _ extra butter. That's because that was my McDonald's order when I was going through a phase in my life where I had a little addiction to the pancakes at McDonald's.
She said short stack.
It's short stack _ extra butter. That's exactly how I would order my stuff.
Yeah, you was going through a phase. I hear you.
Look, them pancakes had me down bad, but that was.
I love it. I love it.
You
well, you ladies get ready because I'm going to recommend you all, if you want to, because there are people I know who want to hear speakers, especially when you can be vulnerable like this. Okay, so just know, if y'all give me the permission, if they ask, I will be recommending you. Yes, you too, Raven, for that. Okay. I know, Raven, you're going to have to step into it because Raven's like, look, I ain't trying to do all that. But okay, so and family, you all know how we do it. If you did not get all of their information, you see my tag right there, hashtag realtalknowros2 on Facebook and hashtag realtalknowros on IG, TikTok, YouTube, all the other platforms you can get in touch with me, okay? So, and if you want to get it, like I said, just give me, shoot me something on one of those platforms, and I definitely will make sure they get whatever information. And you can also see those other great videos that we have too. Make sure now, if you go to my walls, make sure you subscribe and like my page, and you can get alerts whenever we come online with a new video. How about that? Ladies, you all stay right there. Family, y'all make it a good one.